And welcome back to the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. I'm your host, Dave, along with my son, Sam, today. Charlie is out with some family obligations today. So it's just going to be Sam and I running the show today for you. We do have a pretty good show. We are going to be talking a little bit about opening day weekend here for the Reds. Baseball season has begun. We'll get to some of the Bengals news. We'll also have FC Cincinnati and some Xavier news as well. But before we begin, we'd like to say thanks for coming back. It's been about 2 weeks. If you missed us, hit that like and subscribe button, share with your friends, because we want to make this show the best show possible. And with you all listening and giving us likes and some subscriptions, we can take the show to more people that love the Reds, Bengals, and all things Cincinnati. Sam, how was your week so far?
First time this year, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's good. We got our yard mowed yesterday. Wanted to do that.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to do mine now.
I know, because it's
too wet.
Yep, the rain's coming, and it's going to rain for a while. I got a feeling, but that is springtime in Cincinnati. With that, March Madness is rolling around. How's your brackets?
I don't know. I think I still have 3 of my final 4 still left, I think. I had St. John's, Michigan State, Duke, and
Florida, probably.
Florida, yeah, I've got it right here. Hold on.
Yeah, I had Texas A&M.
No, I've got Michigan State, St. John's, Duke, and Houston.
Oh, Houston, yeah.
So I still got Houston available. Houston and Michigan State play today, I believe.
Yeah, I have Florida, Houston, Duke, and Texas A&M. I thought A&M would sneak in there, but they didn't. Oh, well. Let's go ahead and get on. Since we're talking a little basketball, let's go with Xavier. First of all, thoughts on Miller to Texas and Patino. Richard, not Rick. Richard to X.
I mean, Xavier, they went through it this past week a little bit. Not a lot of happy campers that Sean Miller left, but I mean, you kind of knew the dude, what he was. He's kind of a sleazeball anyways. So for him to be a sleazeball, I don't know. That's really all that shocking. I personally thought he would have given it longer than 3 years before he would have left him again. I thought he'd have gone 5 or 6. 3 seems a little quick for me, but I guess he felt like he did his rehab tour and he could go take another big time job. As far as, the fit for him at Texas, I mean, it is what it is. Texas has as many resources as you could possibly want. So, I mean, if you can't win there, then he's never going to win anywhere anyways. So maybe that's a good thing for Xavier fans. But they brought in Richard Pitino. So it's not like you didn't get another sleazeball. That guy's going to be gone in 3 years if he has any success too. So, that's kind of the life for the Xavier fans. So I get why they wanted Chris Mack, because he initially left for different reasons. I mean, he was there for 8-9 years the first go around. I think if they'd have brought him back, he'd have been there for as long as they'd have had him. So I do think that they ended up making the wrong move, just because I don't know. I don't think Richard Pitino's all that anyways. And if he has any sort of success, he's bouncing as soon as he can.
Well, what I found interesting of both, Miller going to Texas, I agree. He, the 5 years, maybe, Xavier fans were hoping, just because of all of his press conferences, how he said he loves it here, gave him his start. He's looking to rebuild that. But, when Texas and the big boys start coming and calling a little earlier than what they wanted, because they actually wanted him last year, because their Texas coach, if you remember, he made that run to the Sweet 16, and they felt like, we can't fire him now. They lost in the play-in game to Xavier, so they canned him, and they wanted Miller last year, but so this year they're going to throw all the resources out to him. And Texas might be the new Alabama, right? Where Bama, Nick Saban was bringing in all these extra coaches that had baggage. Now Texas has Sark, and now they got Miller to lead their 2 big programs. I don't know. I mean, is it a good fit for him? Don't know. I mean, will he win at Texas? Yeah. How much? Don't know. That's the question.
That he's won everywhere, right? He's had, some tournament runs. He hasn't. I don't know that he's made a Final Four. Definitely hasn't won a championship or even played for one. But I mean, that's, not every coach does, and there's good coaches, plenty of good coaches out there that don't. So that's not the end all be all. I just know if I was a Xavier fan, I'd be really salty. I'd be upset.
Well, and that's Xavier, right? I mean, unfortunately, you look back at all their coaches since Bob Stack, and they have all, you hate to use the term a stepping stone because you would think that Xavier, with
Yeah,
the amount of success since really Bob Stack, Pete Gillen, that would be like a place where you would want to try to win a national championship. So almost like a Villanova,
yeah.
where they they can be that team and continually fight. And I guess Villanova and Gonzaga are the two examples of what I think a Xavier is, because I think,
Well, that's what they should emulate. They're not at that level right now,
well, not, but
but
they were. I mean, they were better than
yeah,
Gonzaga.
that's
I
true.
mean, they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, when Chris Mack was there, I mean, they were
Right.
getting 1 seeds, 2 seeds.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and that, I think that speaks to the longevity of the coach. Because if you look at Few, I mean, Dan Monson was there and he left, I think, for Minnesota. And then Mark Few came and he's stayed. And, he loves it there. Gets the victories all the time and makes the runs. And then you look at Villanova with Raleigh, Massimino, and then I think there was somebody else before Jay Wright. And now Villanova doesn't have that, and they're struggling. And I think I don't know if Patino can bring what he needs to bring, but I think he's a good fit for the Big East just because of his name recognition. And he's going to be competing with his dad, and how fun will that be at the Cintas Center to see St. John's and Xavier go at it, and father son, on the opposite sidelines. I think it'll be real interesting to see. But that's enough of that. Let's go on to our next topic, which is FC Cincinnati. They won last night, defeated Nashville 2-1 on a penalty kick. Sitting in the middle of the pack, I believe, right? They're 3-2-1 now. Is that
something like
correct?
that, I think. Yeah.
Something like that. Thoughts on the victory last night, and where does FC need to go to get on a run, I guess? What do they need to do?
Yeah, as far as going on a run, I don't know. It's always nice to get a victory, especially an away victory. And get all 3 points there is nice. Nashville's always had a pretty solid team, so that's no cupcake down there. I mean, I guess you just try and keep building on your positive results, right? You got an away victory. I'd assume their next game's at home. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
have the
against
schedule in front of
Nashville.
me. Oh, they play Nashville again?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Nashville. New England, sorry.
New England at home.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, New England, it looks like they won yesterday, but lost three in a row before that. So I mean, they're not all that. They haven't been for a while now. So I think if you can rattle off 2 in a row, that should really get the momentum going. Celentano had a great game last night. He had a huge triple save, and then he saved a PK as well, and that really kept him in the game. So I think when you have a goalkeeper that can kind of have those big moments, kind of helps the defenders as well, knowing that they have they don't have to be perfect. And then, going forward offensively, we do miss Acosta just because, Evander's really good. But he just he hasn't gelled yet. It just hasn't clicked like it had with Acosta. That's because, Acosta was here for 4 years or whatever. So it's going to take a bit of time. But I think once they all get going, Evander and Kevin Denke, they're going to be really good.
Yeah, let's hope that they can get on a roll. I know Crawley has mentioned he's not really looking for anything until about mid-June as far as the offense clicking, because it does take a little time, and with all the mid-season or preseason, what do you want to call it, the international play, I guess.
Yeah,
it's real hard.
It throws a wrench.
Right, it's real hard into getting that, I guess, the gel that Pat Noonan would like to see on the offensive side of the ball. But here's to the FC Cincy, hoping they can make it 2 in a row, and let's just see where they go, and fingers crossed that they can remain healthy and figure out some offensive explosiveness here. Moving on to some offensive explosion, the Bengals made some big news while we were away, and you might have heard it here first if you were listening to us, where I said something was really close to happening the last time we were on the air. And sure enough, the next day, I believe that the Bengals made news that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both signed their contracts. So let's give you a little rundown on that in case you've forgotten. Jamar Chase's contract is for 4 years at $161 million, 73, almost 74 million fully guaranteed at signing. 41.717 million is a base, plus a roster bonus and per game roster bonuses for 2025. T. Higgins is on pretty much is a 4-year, 115 million deal, 30 million fully guaranteed at signing, 20 million roster bonus this March, and 10 million roster bonus next March. And his 13.8 million base for this year is not yet guaranteed. So there's a little thing there we can discuss. Thoughts on the Bengals signing Chase and Higgins for 200 plus million? And
I mean, yeah, I'm happy they got it done. I think it was something that they needed to do to keep the offense operating at their full potential. I mean, if your quarterback says he needs those guys, you keep those guys. Kind of puts Trey in a bad spot, but also not really, because he has no leverage. They went out, they sought the trade. They know the market. They didn't get one. So, yeah, I don't think an extension for Trey is going to happen anytime soon. But, I mean, it's huge for the Bengals to kind of show and kind of move forward into the, modern age. They're about 20 years too late on it. But, pay the guys that you have put the time in developing. That's how you build a good team. When you hit on a draft pick and they develop into a good player, a star player, you keep them around. So to see them do that with their two best offensive guys was really encouraging. I really like seeing that.
I guess the scuttlebutt on Cincinnati fans and in the media and just, I guess, fans in general, the Bengals fans are happy that it's done, right? However, a lot of the media people and a lot of the, I guess, bandwagon fans of the Bengals, they're questioning why didn't this get done sooner as far as like last year, and it could have saved them close to $40 to $50 million a year where they could go out and now spend that money on needs. The talking heads, that's what they have to do. That's what we do, right? We need to come up with show segments, and this is a perfect example. And, you alluded to Trey, and I think the Bengals sort of played a little hardball there with Trey as far as letting him explore, which was a positive sign, I guess. And then all of a sudden, rumors, or if you want to call it leakage, saying that they're looking at a number 1 or a high second round draft pick for Trey. And that sort of probably shot the market down, because I don't think anybody's going to pay a number 1 for Trey, but maybe a number 2, maybe a high 3. But, I think that the Bengals sort of played a little hardball there because that's their old ways, and they can't get rid of all their old ways, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't necessarily blame them either, because this has been going on for essentially 3 years. They gave Trey that initial contract extension, and then before even 1 year was done, he was already, well, really more his agent was already crying about a new one. When it wasn't even legal under the CBA for them to even give him a new extension. So, I mean, that shut his agent up real quick once that news came out. It was like, how does your agent not even... First, Trey needs a new agent. That's just a separate issue. Clearly, his agent does not know what they're doing. They have really hurt his earnings. But, I mean, I don't... There's really nothing else. He doesn't really have any options. He's going to play this year, and then he's going to hit free agency, and then he can go get a deal somewhere else if he wants to. Him sitting out is not going to do him any good. He's already over 30. And, that's kind of the whole issue that he's running into anyways. So you're going to sit out and lose $20 million just so that you can...
He's not going to sit out.
Right, exactly. Exactly. The Bengals have all the leverage
Right.
here. But it's
You know,
the complete opposite of the receivers.
Right. And I think if Trey would have shown a little more in the run production as far as stoppages, run stoppages and things, he was. I like Trey. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Trey. His motor is always good, but he was not very productive stopping the run. And
no, he's not. That's why he doesn't win the awards. That's why he doesn't get the recognition, because he is just a one-trick pony.
Right. And that's where
he's really good at that one trick.
He is really
he's
good.
Really good at it. And so we definitely want him around because we've got nobody else that's even decent at it. So.
Yep. So let's go on to that. With the Trey question mark, what do we still need to do in free agency or in the draft? I mean, what are your takes?
Guard. We need another starting guard, maybe two starting guards. My guess is they'll go one more free agent guard, draft one, and then they'll throw Cody Ford in the mix too and see what they can get there. Then I still think we need another pass rusher. And if you're going to keep Trey, you need someone that's good against the run too. I mean, you don't need another guy that's going to get you 12, 15 sacks, but if you got a guy that's going to get you 8, 9, plays good run defense, that's what you need. If they think they have that in-house, I'd argue that they don't, but if they think so, then maybe you just draft a guy or you take a mid-level free agent type guy and you don't double dip like you should with your guards.
Right. I think, the needs are obviously big time on the defensive side of the ball. You could pretty much go a pick at each level, right? The line, interior and, outside line. You can go a linebacker because we will need a linebacker. You can go then, our safeties and corners.
Yeah.
So we can get one everywhere there and then probably draft a guard. We got our tight end, we got our wide receivers, so we really don't need any of those, but we do need a guard. May need, and the thing is, we get rid of Kappa and he signs pretty much the very next, 1 or 2 days later, and he got a pretty good, nice payday. I don't know. I know he was not very good. Hillman Bolson, not very good. I don't know if the new offensive line coach is going to be able to do things. We'll find out. But
yeah, I think a lot of their issue is, those two guys are run blockers.
Right.
And when you're a run blocker whose main job is to pass block, I can see where, your skills aren't going to be best utilized. And then when they did run it, they're running out of shotgun, which is a different type of blocking scheme. You have to have guys that, that's why I almost lean the drafting route. Mm-hmm. Just because if you get a guy that, was they essentially run a spread offense.
Right.
Out of shotgun all the time, pass happy. I know spread has a good amount of run to it at the college level, but I think that's probably the best draft you go, because if you get a guy that's played in a pro system his whole career with our scheme, I don't know that it's really going to be much of an improvement. I really don't.
No, it probably won't. And then we'll just
unless they're going to change their scheme, which I don't think
they're going to change their scheme as long as number 9 is back there calling plays or handling the ball. He likes out of the shotgun, which I don't blame him. He's put up some great numbers doing that, but I think this year they showed a little more out of the playbook. They did go under center a little bit. They did some play action. You get a little more of that. That helps that offensive line a little bit, especially in pass protection as well. All right. Our draft show is coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll be doing our draft, and there might be a little twist to how we do this. I am putting a call out there for all people that are in the podcasting world and from Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, see if they would like to come on the show, and we'll have our simulated draft episode where they are drafting for their teams and we're drafting for ours. So that might be fun little twist if I can somehow pull that off. But let's talk Reds baseball. Thursday was opening day. It's a great day in Cincinnati. The parade is always a big hit. A lot of people packing the stands. Standing room only. The Reds were leading until the 9th, until, as Ian said, stuff happens. But, it's kind of a disappointing end to a great day. And then yesterday, pretty much the same situation. They got down early. was the reverse, I guess, of opening day, but we got down early and we came back. Matty McLean hits a bomb. CES hits the bomb to take the lead. And then the bullpen holds on. And instead of Ian Jabot trying to get another save opportunity, Terry Francona turns to Amelia Pagan, who closes out with a 1-2-3 ninth. So thoughts on opening day, the game yesterday, and just your overall thoughts of the makeup of this Reds team going into weekend 2, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, I mean, opening day was great. It was great being down there for the parade. We had a really good time doing that with you guys, going down with the kid.
That was fun.
She had a blast. But as far as, the game goes, Hunter Green was great. And then he gave up that 2-run homer there in the 5th, I think, his last inning. And it just seems like he does that so often, where he's just dealing, and then in the 5th or 6th inning, he gives up a 2 or 3-run homer, and it just undoes everything.
I don't know if you heard his comments after the game. I mean, he liked how he pitched, except for he said he just didn't have control, or he just didn't feel that he had control of his secondary pitches. And when you're throwing 11 fastballs to a guy, a Major League Baseball player, they're going to catch up with one of them. And that's what happened. And, that 11 pitch at bat, pretty much he could not go out in the 6th. So that sort of threw a monkey wrench into Francona's thinking. And, they were thinking in the 7th. He even said today, or in the paper, it was like they thought about Ian coming in the 7th, but they went with Pagan. And as Francona said, we've got to get to the 9th, right? You can't not get to the 9th. So he wanted, in that situation, he felt Pagan was best suited for the 7th. And Jabot, he was hoping that they could tack on some more runs, and then Jabot would have a little more breathing room in the 9th.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of disagree with that thought process about you got to get to the 9th. It's like, I get it, but also at the same time that you don't trust somebody, so that's why you're waiting. I'd rather have 2 or 3 at-bats to try and make up the run back rather than 1. You get what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't. Right. So that's why I don't necessarily agree with that. It's like, well, we had to throw Jabot at some point, so let's save him for the 9th.
Well,
when we only have one more opportunity to come back from it.
My I guess, and I know Terry came out and said, if I managed like a fan, then I would be a fan. and I am going to question a few things, but I still have faith.
Well, if he'd have managed like a fan, Jabot wouldn't have been in there. So.
Well, you're right.
All 42,000 people that were in the ballpark, I guarantee you, were like, what is this guy?
Yes. He was
like, I know he was retired last year.
Yes.
But he was still around 2 years ago. He saw when that bee fell off of Jabot's shirt at the World Baseball Classic. You saw that, right? You don't put that guy out there in a pressure spot.
Well,
you just don't. I don't care. It's not his fault that Great Britain, went to the craft store before the World Baseball Classic. But still, he was on a minor league deal coming.
Right.
Being free.
Yeah.
The Reds just have this fixation on those guys. Like, well, they made the teams. That must mean they're one of our best players.
He did pitch well last year for. He did.
That's fine. He was still a minor league invitee.
Right, I know.
And he's still a journeyman middle relief pitcher.
Yeah.
You don't put those guys in clutch situations. You just don't do it.
Well, I guess my biggest concern, and this is, I guess, the knock on Francona when he was with Cleveland, is that sometimes he doesn't manage the bullpen very well. And I'm like, oh, that's a David Bell,
Yeah.
That was probably the one person, on Thursday that was smiling from ear to ear when that happened, because he was probably like saying, see, it's not me. It's the front office and giving us these type of players, right? But, my question is, where was Suter? Where was Ashcraft? Where was...
Yeah, right. Like,
where were
you got some other options?
Where was Rogers?
Yeah.
He closed.
He was a closer.
Yeah.
Like, that was his role.
Where were those guys? That says more about, I guess, Francona and Derek Johnson's opinion of where those guys are at, where they're going to be slotted in. And I guess we were used to seeing David Bell run out everybody all the time and get worn down. But I'm like, he didn't pitch. What's Suter, that's your
best lefty.
Right.
That's your best lefty.
And then why didn't he bring him in to face the lefty or the right? I can't remember which one it was who had it was a split. And I mean, looking back on opening day, the bat that hurt the Reds was the Lee for the Giants, left-hander with 2 outs, down or 1 out, I guess it was, and down 2, and draws a walk. Right? I mean, you cannot, if you're going to be you cannot walk batters in the 9th inning. You just can't. And it came back to haunt us. But the home run's the home run, but that walk is what propelled him. Because if he gets him out, the game's over. The game is over. Matt Carpenter gets the single or whatever he did, the double, and then he's still stranded out on second base because the next guy got out. And that would have been out number 3.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we had another base running blunder too opening day.
Mm-hmm.
But first or second inning or whatever, we were putting pressure on, and then Gavin Lux got thrown out by 30 feet at third base. And it's like, you just let out a sigh as a Reds fan, and you're like, this crap again. I mean, like, come on.
Deja vu.
Yeah, it's like it was so unnecessary too. Like they had strung together 3-4 hits in a row. Like it was just one of those. It's like, come on. And then next batter gets out. They're out of the inning. They don't score again. It's like come on.
I don't want to, but opening day in Cincinnati is totally different. He's a new guy.
Yeah. Oh, he was juiced up. Yeah.
He wants to.
His legs weren't, but he thought they were.
He wants to make a good impression, and what
better way
to make a good impression on Cincinnati fans than to do a Pete Rose hustle an extra base, right?
Yeah, you got to get there.
You got to get there though.
You got to get there. You can't be thrown out. You can't be out so clear that
you can't be Sean Casey like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You should have called time, and go back to the base. Go back to the base before I don't know. I mean, that's on a positive note, right? On positive notes, CES is hitting the ball very well. Candy opening day had some nice hits.
Yeah.
And our defense, no errors. I mean, that right there. I mean, with 17 ground ball chances in the infield yesterday from Lodolo, who did not have his best stuff at all, but he managed.
No, he didn't.
He managed.
I mean, honestly,
the game.
None of the pitching staff did. They had 1 strikeout for the whole game. Now,
right.
They didn't walk anybody, so that's good.
Yeah.
But I mean, 1 strikeout. That's oh my gosh.
And Graham Ashcraft made his relief appearance, on which if Terry said he goes, it would not be fair to Graham to throw him in the 9th, his very first time out of the pen, which I tend to agree with, just because you have to go into that role. You have to have that. I think he has the mindset for it. I think he has that bulldog mentality, but until you actually get into that situation, you don't know how to control that emotion and get those strikes, because he could have been walking the bases loaded, because we've seen that out of Graham when he gets too pumped up at times. But I think if Diaz doesn't figure it out, I would say probably by Memorial Day, you might see Graham Ashcraft as our closer. I think you have to get that bullpen, especially the back end of the bullpen, solidified, because you can't go in every game thinking, okay, if it's a 1-run lead,
exactly.
This is, from the 9th, and work your way down, because it doesn't work that way. You can plan all you want to, but baseball is a game that you have to play, and you just never know what's going to happen during the game, and you can't you can't. So, I think, whether it's Pagan moving forward, Graham Ashcraft moving forward, or Rogers moving forward, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Going there. All right. Up next, we got the Rangers for 3. And then I guess the big test, and this is where Francona is going to make his money, is the National League Central. We've got the Brewers going to Milwaukee after that. And the Brewers got blitzed.
Browns. Yeah. Holy cow.
by the Yankees yesterday, 9 home runs given up. But Milwaukee, St. Louis, those teams just seem to always have our number. And I know Milwaukee's lost a couple of players here, their closer and the shortstop who's on the Giants, but they always seem to find somebody to be a thorn on our side. And I think when we come back next week, I will have a better gauge of Terry Francona and this win now mentality that the Reds have when we get to face our nemesis, the Milwaukee Brewers. Any thoughts on the upcoming series?
No, not really. It is Milwaukee, but I think it's still too early to really know who these teams are going to be. You're 2 games in, you'll be 3 games after today. You're still facing guys for the first time. It's their first outing of the year. So I don't know. I think if you always want to try and just win the series, so as long as they can do that,
well, that's what I want them to do is win the series, right? But I also want them to play this brand of baseball where it's not like the Bengals versus the Steelers, where it seems like we just get pounded all the time, and that has changed a little bit with Burrow and company, but it just seems like we just can't get over that hump, and I hope we can.
Yeah. So, the Brewers, especially their pitching staff, it is a lot different. Yes. So, that's the reason why we couldn't beat them was because they're pitching, not necessarily their position players. Right. So,
all right, we're going to move into trivia right now, and Charlie had our question 2 weeks ago, and like I said, he's not here today, so I think we got it correct. I can't remember what it was, but we got a new one for you this week. This is my trivia question, and it's going to be a little fun. This was the last, I guess, before opening day. They had a lot of stuff on Twitter and social media where it's like, guess the year of this opening day roster. So that's what we're going to do here, son. So I'm going to share my screen here with you in a second, and then I want you to see if you can. Let's see here. Can you see that or not? No. All right. Let me go to shoot. I go to see. How can I download it? It's in downloads. Now I got to figure this out. All right. Well, it looks like my browser needs screen sharing, so it's not allowing me to screen share. So what I will do is read the lineup to you. Where'd it go? All right. I'm going to read the lineup to you and then see if you can guess it. So leading off, guess the year. Billy Hamilton's in center field. Brandon Phillips is at second base. Joey Votto's at first. Jay Bruce batting fourth in right field. Ryan Ludwig is in left field. Todd Frazier's batting sixth at third base. Zach Cozart is seventh, playing shortstop. Brian Pena is behind the plate. And on the mound, batting ninth, is Johnny Cueto.
You said Billy Hamilton was leading off?
Billy Hamilton was leading off.
With Ryan Ludwig. So that makes me think 2014.
You are correct, man. Look at you. Way to go. 2014 was the year.
They were not any good that year.
They were not. That was Brian Price's, I think, first year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it would have been his first year.
Yeah, because that was the year that you got.
No, that would have been his second, because his first year,
that's right.
They went to the wild card game, and they lost. They lost to Pittsburgh.
Brian Price? Yeah, that was Dusty's last year.
That was Dusty's last year. For some reason, I was thinking that was his first year.
No, Brian Price did not.
So then it would have been Price's first year. Then. Okay.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next our topic of the week, and we're going to have our Reds best moments of our lifetime. And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to just read through, like our top 5 best moments of our lifetime. Obviously, I have more life than Sam as far as experiences watching the Reds and some of their better moments, but it'll be interesting to see the different generations and what they think their best moments. And the way we're going to do this is, like I said, it's pretty much you're going to start with the year you first remembered being a Reds fan and those types. So for me, even though I was born 6 years before the 75 season, that was the first year I really started to follow the Reds. And so from there on till now is what I'm going to be doing my experiences with. So with that, Sam, you want to start or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I can start. I mean,
Okay.
mine kind of starts. I have some vague memories of earlier stuff, but really, like my memories kind of coincide with Great American Ballpark, kind of that 2003 area. I have a couple of vague memories of 2001, 2002, just because we probably went to a game or two then. But I couldn't really tell you anything else other than I just kind of remember baseball. But the first thing that kind of jumps to mind, because obviously there's been no playoff success, is Jay Bruce's walk-off home run to clinch the division. That just kind of, I think everybody my age, that's kind of just the first go-to.
First go-to
thing. I mean, really, that's kind of the first go-to for all of Cincinnati sports that we have, because that was, I mean, the Reds hadn't been to the playoffs. I think that was the first time in my lifetime they had gone to the playoffs in 2010. Because they went in 95, but I wasn't born yet.
That's right.
So
you weren't. Exactly.
But yeah, I don't think that they had been to the playoffs. No. So until then, I mean, that was a huge moment. So I mean, I remember watching that game and then watching the highlights and going to school the next day and everybody talking about it and stuff. So.
All right, my first one. I remember this to the day. I was at college at Purdue University. I was in the house that my sister and her husband, we all rented it together, and sitting in the living room and watching game 1 of the World Series, and Eric Davis hits the first inning home run off of Dave Stewart to go up 2-0, and just electric. I mean, that set the tone and for the sweep, and it was just, I mean, that right there, because nobody, it was that team wire to wire, and nobody gave them a chance against the Bash brothers and the A's, but they proved them wrong there. All right, what's another one for you?
It's not really, it is Reds, but Todd Frazier winning the home run derby in GABP. Yeah. I mean, that was a huge moment. I mean, that was really cool, in GABP to have, especially because it was Todd Frazier. I mean, one of the all-time good dudes to put on a Reds uniform. Everybody loved him. Bit surprising that he even won the home run derby, that kind of stuff. His brother was throwing to him. So it was just a cool moment.
Right. Yeah. I do have that on my list, down a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, I'm not working with quite the options
right,
here.
Exactly, because my second one happened September 1985. That was Pete Rose's 4,192nd hit to become the all-time hit king, and mercy was that exciting to watch when he was going for that. And the big thing was, is he going to do it in Chicago or not? Because he tied the record in Chicago, and Pete is Pete. He's playing against right-handed pitchers, and he was sitting the bench against left-handed pitchers. And, they had a lefty throwing on that Sunday. And so Rose, sat out, and then they came back to Cincinnati, and then he got the hit against Eric Chow. So yeah. All right. Number 3.
Number 3, it's really 3 and 4. It's Ken Griffey Jr.'s milestone home run. So his 500th. I remember on Father's Day, I think we were listening to the game, just having a catch, or you were grilling or something. And when he hit it, and then we ran inside so we could watch it on SportsCenter, because we didn't get right. That was in Kokomo.
That's right.
And that was, at that time, we had believe it was called Fox Sports Midwest.
Yes.
So it was Reds home games we could see, but Reds away games they did not broadcast. So we had to listen to those on the radio. And then we ran inside to watch it on ESPN because we knew they would do a cutaway and show it. So that was really cool. And then, obviously his 600th home run, it wasn't on Father's Day or anything, in crappy Miami, with no fans in the stadium. But his family was there for that game. So that was, a cool moment, I'm sure, for him.
Well, yeah, his dad, Ken Sr. was there on
Father's Day. On Father's Day. But I mean, like, his family lived in the Miami area and stuff.
Yeah. But that was good. So my number 3, and this was the 76 World Series sweep of the New York Yankees. So that's when 75, I remember bits and pieces of the World Series, and I have that on my list down. But I was, like I said, I was 5-6 years old, and I for the 75 World Series. So I only know bits and pieces of it. But the 76 was when I actually watched every single game. Johnny Bench's 2 home runs, just dominating the Yankees, which was always a good thing. And it was my first taste of, being a true fan of the ball club and being with them from opening day to the World Series. And you just felt like as a kid, you just felt like you were part of the team. So that was my third one there. You got any more?
I really don't.
Okay.
Not that or anything worthwhile.
So I'll go down. Like I said, we were going to do 10, but Crawley's not here, so we're just doing this.
At least cycle a couple years ago was awesome.
Yep.
But it's just not. I mean, that was pretty cool.
That was
I guess. Yeah, I guess I could think of another couple. So if you want
to. So basically, I had one that you had. So my 4th was Jay Bruce's pennant clinching home run, which was, like you said, it brought Reds baseball back to being relevant. And then I had for me, I think it was 2000, Ken Griffey Jr. coming home. When that trade happened,
the trade itself.
Gosh, you talking about excitement? Because Junior was in his prime, and I mean, we were ordering World Series tickets right then and there. But injuries, pitching, happened. Yep. So that was number
Cincinnati
5.
Happened.
Yeah, Cincinnati happened, right? That was my number 5th, and then my number 6 one was I was actually at the game with my dad. It was Johnny Bench's when he broke Yogi Berra's home run record for catchers. I remember sitting out there in the green seats in left center field, and that ball came probably one section over for where we were at. But it was just so cool seeing one of your favorite players, break a record and at home at Riverfront Stadium. So that was pretty cool. And then I had the 7th one was the Todd Frazier home run derby. That was, the whole city was electric during derby weekend. All the fan festivals things, and then the actual home run derby.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Then I had the 75 World Series victories against the Red Sox. Like I said, I don't remember a ton. I just remember the first game when it got rained out, and then the next game the start time was pushed back. It probably didn't start till like 9:15, and Opal was like, "You got to get to bed. Sorry." Because I had school the next day, and I was, like I said, I was 5-6 years old at the time, and he's like, "Get to bed." So I had to go to bed and not really, get to watch. But I remember that they showed the starting lineups, and when they come out and shake everybody's hand, and then that was it. My number 9 one was Tom Browning's perfect game. That was electric as well. And then 10th, I had a couple of. I had a tie for 10th, and Ellie had 2 of them. So it was his cycle, which was just electric for Ellie, and then his 3 stolen bases on 2 pitches.
Against the Brewers.
Brewers.
Yep.
And then I also had the last one I had was Scooter Jeanette's 4-home run game.
Yeah.
So those are mine.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that one. Yeah, I would have included Scooter in there for sure. Because, I mean, that was a terrible season. They were wearing those stupid camo uniforms.
Yes, but it was for military appreciation.
Yeah, but I mean, those uniforms were ugly. I mean,
well, they were, but
they
4
were
home
awful.
runs, though, wasn't
Yeah, and against the Cardinals, too, which makes it a little sweeter.
Yes, so. Exactly.
Yep.
You have any others you're thinking of?
No, I mean, one of my favorite Reds players of all time, Ryan Friel, just, memories of him making all those diving plays and everything. Yep. But, I mean, not, any real big moments, I just haven't had the team success to have those team moments, you know. So, outside of some individuals. I mean, when Votto won the MVP in 2010, that was pretty big. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the only, I guess India won Rookie of the Year, but, in terms of major awards, the Reds don't get too many of those. So, that was big.
Yep, it was. Well,
Homer Bailey's 2 no-hitters in like 6 months or whatever that got him paid and Cueto kicked to the curb. But
Well,
so maybe that's not a good memory.
Oh, I was going to say, they paid him instead of Cueto. Well, oh well. All right. Well, I hope you liked our I guess you want to go or jog down memory lane here. If you have a moment, tell us what your favorite moment was, your best moments of your lifetime when you started to remember the Reds. And, give us a shout out on our social media accounts. You can leave it in comments on YouTube. This will probably be posted up on Tuesday, but you can share your thoughts with us on all our social medias at CincySportScn. Look for us there. We appreciate your liking, subscribing, and making any comments on our show. And speaking of our show, next week we'll be back. And we're going to play a little game. It's going to be called "Can You Name the Cincinnati Icon?" And that should be fun. So we'll come up with a list of iconic Cincinnatians, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing. And we'll have clues, and we'll see who can name the most. So until next time, for Crawley, who cannot be here, Sam, and I'm Dave. Everybody, take care.
See ya.